Hey, welcome back to The Dive. Our guest today will deep dive into the recent headlines surrounding Bitcoin, the price action on Ethereum, their company's most recent acquisition, and production updates. She is the Vice President of Corporate Development and Investor Relations in one of North America's largest digital asset miners, Hut8 Mining Corp. Suzanne Ennis is joining us today. But before we bring Suzanne on, just a quick reminder to go ahead and smash on that subscribe button, please. Hey, Sue, welcome back to The Dive.
Hey, so happy to be here chatting with you again.
Yeah, thank you so much for hopping on again. Okay, so let's dive into it here. On a TV appearance, Finance Minister Alejandro Zelaya said that El Salvador's initial 1 billion Bitcoin bond issue will take place between March 15th and March 20th. This week, Fitch downgraded their credit rating to CCC. How do you view El Salvador's role within the global adoption of Bitcoin?
So, yeah, that was really interesting. Fitch, Moody's, and Morningstar, I believe, all downgraded their bonds. And I think that that's not really the story. I think the story and what we think is the most exciting thing about El Salvador adopting it as a formal currency is that it's just another step in the right direction in terms of adoption of this asset class. So if you look at, for example, obviously El Salvador, but then also in Rio de Janeiro, that government has indicated that they're going to be doing 1% of their treasury management strategy will also be in the digital asset space. I believe they just said Bitcoin, but they might have said altcoins as well. Even traditional, very conservative institutions like the KPMGs of the world, they've indicated that they're going to also, about a week ago, they indicated they're going to implement, dedicate 1% of their reserve treasury management system to Bitcoin and Ether. So I think the greater story here is that it really is gaining that sort of sovereign, that very archaic institutional uptick and adoption and demand. And I think that that's incredibly exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I'm sure you heard the DOJ seized 3.6 billion in Bitcoin tied to the 2016 hack of digital currency exchange Bitfinex. One of the accused perpetrators, Heather Morgan, was a loud social media character, to say the least. Do you view the events as a positive or a negative for the crypto universe, given how cringeworthy Heather's social media footprint was?
Oh my God, that's such a funny question. So I actually sent our CEO, Jamie, a text this morning being like, oh my God, I found Heather's TikTok and it's hilarious. And it's so funny. But I think, what's really great about, not great, but I think there was a lot of lessons learned from what happened in 2016 at Bitfinex. So the importance of security, of the security around custody, and also I think the real emergence of customer first platforms in the event of a crisis like a hack. So Bitfinex actually came out with a couple different strategies back in 2016 to try and pay people back through their BFX token that could then later be redeemed for US dollars. So I think a lot of lessons were learned, and I'm certainly getting my popcorn ready because I'm excited to see how this trial unfolds, because, these weren't two yahoos yachting throughout the world, going hog wild at Chanel or Cartier or whatever. They were weirdos on social media taking out $500 gift cards with this crazy bounty. So I think it's a really exciting story, but I think the industry as a whole back in 2016 really had a wake-up call as to like some of the areas back then that really needed to be improved upon. So, and I hope those people who lost their money get paid back. Yeah.
Definitely. All right, so let's move on here. Bitcoin took many by surprise when it dropped 52% from its November all-time highs. What do you view as the key price levels for Bitcoin here?
Yeah, so I think 2022 is going to be so interesting, and I think it's going to be a real battle between macro and micro events driving the price of cryptocurrencies versus up until about really now, Bitcoin pricing has really been tied into sort of macroeconomic factors. So what do I mean when I say this? Goldman Sachs is forecasting 7 rate hikes this year. Deutsche Bank is forecasting 9 rate hikes this year. The SPY was down yesterday by 8%. Nasdaq year to date has been, in 2022 is down about 9.3%. And normally, at least how Bitcoin has been trading, that would also cause an ancillary, similar downturns for the price of Bitcoin and altcoins. But we actually have seen crypto still rallying, especially in the past week or so, relatively speaking, to the broader market. So I'm not saying that they're going to be decoupling in 2022, but it's a real sort of it's going to be a battle between micro and macro. So you've got those macroeconomic headwinds, but there's a real microeconomic boon in the sense that BlackRock, the largest asset manager really in the world, is now offering trading and collateralized lending for institutions, sovereign wealth funds, with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And that was just announced 2 days ago. So that's incredibly bullish for the industry. And I think that has helped some of the resilience moves like that. Again, KPMG adding it to their treasury reserve management strategy. So I think that it's going to be 2022 is going to be a real mixed bag of macro and micro driving sort of where the price of Bitcoin goes. But in terms of adoption, which is obviously accretive to price, we're seeing all the right things moving in the right direction. And it's a huge deal that BlackRock has now come out with these services. So
how are you viewing the current price action in Ethereum?
Yeah, you know what? My opinion around Ethereum and the recent price action isn't as formed as it is around Bitcoin. So I know that, for example, in a couple of the bridges for some of the altcoins, there was a hack. I know Solana's had some struggles, so sort of like the Ethereum alt killers. But I think fundamentally, Ethereum is not going anywhere. They're trying to solve for some of their weaknesses with respect to fees and transaction time and congestion of the network, with their new proof of stake, not their new, but their pending proof of stake change. So I definitely don't think Ethereum's going anywhere. It has one of the highest dev activity statuses than any other altcoin out there. And yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's talk about Hut8 now. The company announced its acquisition of TeraGo's data center business. Could you walk us through the acquisition and what does this mean for Hut8?
Yeah, so we're super excited about this. So a couple of weeks ago, we announced that we bought the data center cloud and co-location business of this company, of a publicly traded company called TeraGo. And so it's 5 data centers across Canada. The deal came with 30 enterprise data center reps and a little over 400 commercial enterprise customers in the traditional data and cloud colo space. So there's a couple of reasons why we're really excited about this. Number one, diversification is a cornerstone to our growth strategy. So we now have a completely uncorrelated business from our digital asset mining side of the business, but a business that still capitalizes on greater sort of macro trends of increased digitalization of industry and the economy in general. And number two, well, there's a couple factors. And then number two is that 10% of our new of these commercial customers that we acquired are actually in the gaming and special effects space, which leads me to the third point. We see a tremendous opportunity using these data centers and some of their underutilized capacity to start building out infrastructure to support a lot of the growing applications and maturation of applications we're seeing in the blockchain space and Web 3.0 and blockchain gaming. All of those massive new markets and entrants need blockchain storage, need infrastructure to support their projects. And so that's where we see, and we're basically going to be building that out in the underutilized space that exists in traditional data centers with our GPU miners, with our digital asset experts. So again, that's like blockchain gaming space alone is like a $268 billion industry. And we look at ourselves as potentially being like the Amazon Web Services for Web 3.0 and blockchain gaming. So that's why we're so excited about it. yeah, we're really, really thrilled about all the things we can get to do and effectively bridge Web 2 with Web 3. And yeah.
So now Intel, one of the world's largest chip makers, is set to unveil its new low voltage crypto mining chip ASIC on February 23rd. How does evolving tech impact Hut8?
Yeah, so Jamie, our CEO, she's been in the high performance compute distressed data infrastructure space for over 20 years. And why does that matter? It matters because she, number one, brings an operator lens to this space. So she's able to bridge silos of opportunity that a lot of people can't see. And that's why, again, we bought these data centers, because there's this explosive growth and opportunity we're going to capture in the growing Web3 blockchain gaming space. But also she has tremendous relationships with the traditional hardware providers like the Intels, like the NVIDIAs, like the Dells of the world. So, we're thrilled that Intel is coming out with new specs and new product, and we're really pumped to see what it looks like. And yeah, that's the most I can comment on it right now. But her experience in the industry and relationships certainly help us get a pretty great line of sight on things as they come down the pipeline.
Mm-hmm. So do you think we're going to see more purchase agreements from mining companies as other manufacturers enter the space?
Yes, I do, for sure.
Okay, and one more thing before we let you go here. Yeah. In your most recent monthly production update, the company mined a total of 308 Bitcoins, leading to 5,826 self-mined Bitcoin in reserve as of January. What does the company plan to do with this balance?
So 2,000 of that Bitcoin is already earning yield. 1,000 with Galaxy, 1,000 with Genesis, about 2.5% yield. Because we do think that it's important to put your balance to work, and we are one of the first companies to have ever started to do that. So yeah, that leaves 3,800 coin on our balance sheet. We're OG hodlers. We're hodlers at heart. We are not planning on selling Bitcoin anytime soon. I'm not saying we're never going to sell Bitcoin, but we really do believe in the bull case and the upside eventually for this asset class. So that remains to be seen what we're going to do with the balance of this Bitcoin we have on our balance sheet. We're certainly looking at ways that we can make it work a little bit harder. But like I said, being Bitcoin bulls, which we are, doesn't just stop, in our opinion, at mine and hodl. It's if you're bullish on Bitcoin, then you must be bullish on blockchain growth. And we're going to continue to build out infrastructure to support and capture upside in a lot of the different development of this asset class. So.
Sounds great. Well, it's a very exciting year for Hut8, and I'll have to get you back on to talk about it when more continues to happen. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sue.
Thank you so much for having me. Okay, bye guys.
Bye. Thanks so much for watching today. We'll be back again tomorrow with the latest news, so be sure to stay tuned and hit that notification bell before you go.